We're going to go for Wigan at home to Swansea City. It's a 3 p.m. kick-off on Saturday afternoon in the Premier League. Talk about Wigan to begin with. Last time out, 0-0 draw at home to Villa, which was solid but not spectacular, and that's been the case quite a few times at home for them this season. I think they've drawn 6 at home, sort of as many as they've lost, which probably shows that they can be solid enough on home soil, but just lacking that spark to get 3 points more often.
Yeah, it's something Martinez mentioned after the game against Villa. Obviously, it was a fairly drab 0-0 draw, and he said there were positives and negatives to take from him. Like he said, they've shown they're solid. They've shown they can go up a team like Aston Villa, who traditionally, obviously not this team, but traditionally are a fairly solid side and not concede goals. But they need to sharpen up. I mean, obviously Hugo Rodallega I think he wanted to leave in January. Obviously, had a new playing coming on. He missed a good chance to snatch all 3 points against Villa.
He knows he's off in the summer as well, doesn't he?
Exactly, but I've been impressed with Victor Moses. I think he's looked for a young lad to lead the line in a relegation battle. He has looked very good.
Okay, and if they win this one, this is a big home game against a team that they are capable of beating. They can go to within 7 points of Swansea, which maybe seems like a big gap, but in the contrast of the seasons they've had, isn't, it's all relevant, isn't it? But Wigan, 1 win in 11 games. With 12 games to go, you'd probably say they need maybe to win about half of those. So it's a real tough test for them to get out of it.
It's a huge test. I mean, looking at their league form over the season so far, that you would say no, they can't win 6 league games in such a short space of time. But they've been there before. They've done this before. They've done this to all of us before. They've been down and out, and they've come back.
About 4 times this season.
Yeah, they've put on a decent run, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them out of it.
Okay, and Swansea, they're down in 14th at the moment, which is, it's very tight in the middle there, so they won't be too worried about that. But they have lost their last 2 games, conceding 5 along the way. They're 9 points above the bottom 3, but would you be slightly worried that after an impressive season they might fade in the final third?
It's very funny actually. I mean, if you look at the teams that have faded that badly after a really good start, you've got Burnley and Blackpool obviously over previous seasons, you kind of think maybe that obviously the fade would have had to come a bit early for them to be in real trouble, but there's not that many points. As you say, you've only got 6 or 7 separating them, isn't it? So I mean, it's not out of the question they could be dragged into the battle, but you kind of think with their home form they should be able to pick up enough points to see them clear.
Okay, you've got Man City after this, so this is a big game against Wigan and a team that are in the bottom 3. But as we mentioned the Norwich players earlier, I think it's only fair to mention the likes of Dyer, Sinclair and Graham. Should any of those had a sniff of the England squad given their form?
I think, I mean, I've been really impressed with Danny Graham, the way in which he stepped up from Championship level, coming from Watford, and really taken like a duck to water to the Premier League. Has been really impressive, and like I say, it was like we said before, it was a perfect opportunity to experiment, throw in a few curveballs, but they haven't. But I expect to see a lot of those players in the Team GB squad in the Olympics, so maybe we can get an eye at them there.
So I very much think, just on this very quickly, I don't want to go on about it too much, but if the likes of Sinclair and maybe sort of Holt and Ruddy and Graham were playing for even like Aston Villa or somewhere, a team that had been struggling, I think they'd have a better chance of being in the England squad, which I think is a bit of a shame, really.
It's quite possibly, yeah. I mean, there's been after Swansea beat Arsenal, that was like the big win of the season. There was a lot of people saying some of these guys have got in because they're playing so well. They're playing in a team that plays attractive football. They've got to get in, and nothing. Obviously England fixtures are.
Maybe it's because they have faded slightly in the last.
Maybe so. But I mean, Norwich haven't faded, so I mean, maybe some of the players should have been. But like I say, it's a side issue. But they'll be focused themselves. They'll be thinking, hey, all we've got to do is keep doing our job, and we've got Premier League status for another season.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll go for prediction in this one. Wigan at home to Swansea. I actually think we're going to nick the win. I'm going to go for 1-0 to the home side. So yeah, 3rd defeat in a row for Swansea.
Wigan can't score at home. Swansea can't score on the road. So unfortunately, it's going to be a 0-0 draw, I'm afraid.